Ahsoka Tano's journey in the Star Wars saga has been one of the most compelling and transformative arcs in the entire franchise. From her beginnings as a Jedi Padawan under Anakin Skywalker, to her departure from the Jedi Order, and her eventual role as a key figure in the rebellion, Ahsoka's fate reflects a larger story of personal growth, loss, and self-discovery. Once a young Togruta with an immense potential for greatness, has evolved into one of the most iconic figures in the Star Wars universe, transcending her initial role as Anakin's apprentice to become an independent, self-aware individual who questions the very principles she was once taught to uphold. The fate of Ahsoka Tano was forever altered by her decision to walk away from the Jedi. She found herself caught between the galactic power struggles, uncertain of where she fit within the broader context of the galaxy's conflicts. Despite her decision to leave the Jedi Order, Ahsoka never abandoned her sense of justice and responsibility. She became a key figure in the rebellion against the Empire, working covertly as an operative under the name Ashla. Her role in the rebels was crucial, and it was here that she cemented her identity not as a Jedi, but as a freedom fighter, willing to challenge both the Empire and her past associations with the Jedi. The complex relationship that Ahsoka had with Anakin Skywalker, her former mentor, is another defining aspect of her fate. Ahsoka's early bond with Anakin was one of mutual respect, trust, and a shared desire to fight for the greater good. However, as the war progressed and Anakin's eventual fall to the dark side as Darth Vader became inevitable, Ahsoka's path diverged from her former master. Her belief in the Jedi way clashed with the growing darkness within Anakin, and their relationship became strained. Yet, despite the tragic turn Anakin's life took, Ahsoka's connection to him remained a powerful force in her journey. She was one of the few who truly understood the depth of Anakin's inner conflict and the betrayal he felt from the Jedi, even as she rejected the Sith's corruption of his power. Ahsoka, in a sense, became a mirror to Anakin's fall. She took the path of self-determination and freedom, while he embraced the path of control and power. The legacy of Ahsoka Tano is not only bound to her role in the Clone Wars and the Rebellion, but to her growth beyond the shadows of the Jedi and Sith. She became a symbol of independence and self-discovery, representing the idea that even in a galaxy rife with ideological extremism, there is always the possibility for a third path, one defined not by adherence to rigid codes or traditions, but by personal integrity, freedom, and the pursuit of a just cause. Ahsoka was able to transcend the limitations of both the Jedi and Sith ideologies and carve her own path. She did not need to be defined by either side's teachings. Her independent nature allowed her to forge an identity that was truly her own, refusing to be confined by the dogmatic constraints of the Jedi or the chaotic drive for power embodied by the Sith. Ahsoka's survival and eventual return in the post-Empire galaxy were remarkable in themselves. Following her departure from the rebellion, Ahsoka's fate became somewhat of a mystery. She had disappeared into the galaxy, vanishing into the shadows to avoid detection by the Empire and later by the New Republic. Her absence from the galactic stage for a time allowed her to reflect on her role in the galaxy, but it also set the stage for her eventual return. When she finally resurfaced in the events of the Mandalorian series, she had become a force unto herself, having fully embraced her new identity as an independent warrior for justice, rather than a member of any traditional order. She was no longer the Padawan of Anakin, nor was she constrained by the Jedi Code. Ahsoka's connection to the Force was now a deeply personal and evolved understanding, one that was open to individual interpretation, and that did not need validation from the Jedi Council or any established institution. Her fate, both as an individual and as a symbol for the galaxy, remains one of complexity, hope, and strength. Ahsoka's story is far from finished. Whether she continues to aid the New Republic or finds new ways to help the galaxy heal from the scars of the Empire, Ahsoka Tano's legacy will continue to shape the future of the galaxy for generations to come. Her fate, then, is not defined by her connection to the Jedi, her former master Anakin, or even her role in the rebellion. It is defined by her choices that reflect her commitment to justice, balance, and freedom. It is this independence, this ability to chart her own course without being bound by any singular ideology or institution, that has made Ahsoka Tano a legend in her own right and will continue to shape the galaxy's future in ways that none of the traditional powers can fully predict or control. Ahsoka Tano's journey, from her early days as a Jedi Padawan to her eventual rise as an independent Force user, has been marked by personal evolution and a continuous redefinition of her identity. The key aspect of her story is her rejection of traditional structures and her ability to carve out a path that is uniquely her own. After leaving the Jedi Order, Ahsoka stepped into the galaxy as an individual unbound by the dogmatic restrictions of the Jedi Code. This freedom allowed her to grow in ways that Jedi, locked in their rigid doctrines, could not. Ahsoka's fate is defined by this freedom to question, to choose her actions based on what felt right, and ultimately to shape her future without the constraints of her past. Throughout her time in the Clone Wars, Ahsoka's relationship with Anakin Skywalker was central to her growth. Anakin was not only her mentor but also a guide through the complex nature of the Force and the challenges that the Clone Wars presented. Their relationship, one of mutual respect and emotional connection, is pivotal in understanding Ahsoka's development. However, as Anakin fell deeper into the Sith's influence, Ahsoka's path began to diverge from his. She had learned much from him, but she was also able to see the dangers of his increasing obsession with power and control. It is in this divergence that Ahsoka's strength becomes evident. She was able to break free from Anakin's trajectory, choosing self-awareness and independence over the temptations of the dark side. This independence became even more pronounced after her unjust trial and departure from the Jedi Order. The Jedi Council's betrayal, in choosing to abandon her during the trial, marked a pivotal moment in Ahsoka's life, one that would shape her future decisions. She realized that the Jedi, despite their moral high ground, were not immune to flaws. Their rigidity, their unwillingness to question their own actions, and their blind adherence to their dogma led them to abandon her at a moment when she needed them most. This realization changed Ahsoka. Her disillusionment with the Jedi Order did not make her bitter or vengeful. Instead, it reinforced her sense of moral clarity. She walked away from the Jedi because they no longer represented the path she believed in. Her departure was empowering, marking the beginning of a journey that was defined by her own sense of justice rather than the approval of any organization. As Ahsoka embraced her independence, she began to see the larger scope of the galaxy's struggle, the rise of the Empire, the struggles of the people, and the corruption that had taken root in many parts of the galaxy. Rather than aligning herself with any particular faction, whether the Republic, the Jedi, or the Sith, Ahsoka chose to act in the galaxy's best interests on her own terms. She became an essential part of the rebellion, but not as a Jedi or as a Sith, but as someone deeply aware of the moral complexities of the galaxy. Ahsoka's role in the rebellion was not as a commander or a leader of a great army, but as a strategic figure who operated from the shadows. Her knowledge of both Sith and Jedi practices gave her a unique perspective and the ability to see through the complexities of galactic power plays. Ahsoka's fate also intersected with key characters who played significant roles in her story. Sabine Wren, Ezra Bridger, and Hera Syndulla were among those who not only provided her with allies, but also helped her rediscover what it meant to be a Force user outside of the constraints of the Jedi Order. In their company, Ahsoka found a new sense of belonging, one that was not tied to any specific group or ideology, but was rooted in a shared commitment to justice and freedom. Her time with the rebels also revealed her ability to adapt to changing circumstances, using her skills in combat strategy and negotiation to support the greater cause. In her later years, Ahsoka's legacy began to expand beyond the rebels, and her eventual reunion with the Mandalorian chapter and the return of the Darksaber marked another crucial moment in her evolution. In the post-Empire galaxy, Ahsoka's role as a freedom fighter shifted once again. She was no longer simply a Jedi, warrior, or rebel leader. She had become a symbol of hope, independence, and moral clarity, someone who lived by her own principles and was not beholden to any order or power. Ahsoka's understanding of the Force was not about power, but about connection. Throughout her journey, she came to realize that her connection to the Force was not defined by her association with the Jedi or her rejection of the Sith. She saw the Force as a tool for balance, something that should be understood in its entirety and not manipulated to suit personal needs. Ahsoka's mastery of the Force was rooted in compassion, self-awareness, and a deep understanding of the natural flow of life. Her connection to the Force was fluid, and she used it not to exert control over others, but to enhance her ability to connect with the universe, maintain peace, and restore balance where needed. In the post-Empire galaxy, Ahsoka Tano's fate was not fully known to most. While she remained a shadowy figure, working behind the scenes to ensure the galaxy's recovery, her impact was profound. Her presence was felt in small acts of rebellion, in the formation of the New Republic, and in the quieter moments when individuals sought guidance or understanding of the Force. Ahsoka became a figure who refused to be defined by the actions of the past or the ideologies of the Jedi or Sith. She charted her own course in a galaxy forever changed by the conflict between light and dark. Her fate ultimately became a legacy of self-determination. She showed that there is more than one way to be a Force user, and that the pursuit of justice does not always require adherence to tradition or the dogmas of old orders. In the larger context of the galaxy, Ahsoka Tano's legacy serves as a reminder that sometimes the greatest path forward is not one that follows the rules, but one that listens to the inner calling for justice and balance. She showed the galaxy that even in the face of unrelenting darkness, there is always room for hope, compassion, and change. Ahsoka's journey is a testament to the enduring power of choice, the choice to rise above expectations, to forge your own path, and to create a future built on the principles you believe are right, regardless of the obstacles. Ahsoka Tano's legacy continues to evolve, particularly in the post-Empire galaxy, where her influence and role as a force of change remain ever relevant. The galaxy, though liberated from the Empire's tyrannical reign, still faced significant challenges as remnants of imperial power, along with new threats, sought to fill the void left by the Empire's collapse. In this fragmented era, Ahsoka's experience, moral clarity, and ability to navigate complex moral terrain were vital assets that guided others seeking hope in the wake of the Empire's fall. Even though she remained a shadowy figure, working in the background, Ahsoka's actions spoke volumes about the power of one individual to shape the galaxy's future, without the need for grand gestures or the embrace of any traditional galactic order. In her return to the galaxy stage, Ahsoka is no longer the Padawan of Anakin Skywalker, nor is she a member of the Jedi Order. She exists outside these categories, untethered by the old definitions of Jedi or Sith, and no longer tied to any specific faction. Her ability to forge her own identity apart from the Jedi or Sith orders is a testament to her growth as a Force user. Ahsoka's connection to the Force is no longer defined by traditional paths, but by her personal experience and understanding. Her approach is one of integration, acknowledging that the Force is not simply a tool to be used for personal gain or victory, but a living entity that requires respect, balance, and responsibility. Throughout the events of Star Wars Rebels, Ahsoka's role in the rebellion becomes more pronounced as she acts as a mentor, guiding the next generation of rebels, particularly Ezra Bridger, in understanding the complexities of the Force and its place in the galaxy. Her battle with Darth Vader is another key moment in Ahsoka's journey, as it represents the final confrontation between the legacy of Anakin Skywalker and the choices she made in choosing a different path. Their duel is not only a physical battle, but a spiritual confrontation, where Ahsoka must come to terms with the man who was once her master and the tragedy of his fall to the dark side. The psychological toll of facing Vader, who embodies the corruption and destruction of her former mentor, presents Ahsoka with an opportunity to both honor and reject the past. Ahsoka's departure from the Jedi Order was not the end of her journey, but a pivotal moment that set her on a path of self-realization. Unlike many other Force users, she was not defined by the Jedi Code or the Sith doctrine, both of which had their limitations and flaws. Instead, she learned that the Force is not about following rules, but about understanding and harmonizing with its natural flow. She rejected the rigid systems that sought to categorize and control the Force, and in doing so, she found the strength to shape her own destiny. Her independence from the Jedi Order, as well as her subsequent role in the rebellion, allowed her to explore the Force in ways that transcended the limitations of both the Jedi and Sith. She became a symbol of how individuals can transcend dogma and create their own paths, grounded in compassion, balance, and a profound understanding of the universe's natural rhythms. After the fall of the Empire, the galaxy entered a period of transition, with the New Republic attempting to rebuild from the ashes of the Imperial reign. The galaxy was left fragmented, with various factions and residual Imperial forces continuing to fight for power and control. It was in this chaotic period that Ahsoka found herself once again drawn into the struggle, this time not as a Jedi, but as a warrior for justice and balance in the galaxy. Her skills as a strategist and warrior were invaluable, but it was her understanding of the Force and her independence from the old Jedi codes that made her uniquely suited to this new world. The galaxy, now free from the Empire, was in desperate need of guidance, particularly when the Sith Eternal and other dark powers began to rise once more. The Bendu's teachings of balance may have resonated even more deeply during this period, as those who embraced Ahsoka's wisdom learned to move beyond the binary struggles of the past and recognize the need for a new kind of balance. Ahsoka's continued evolution is evident in her role as an agent of hope for the galaxy's future. While her journey was shaped by her relationships with key figures like Anakin Skywalker and Darth Vader, her story is not defined by these relationships. Ahsoka's fate, rather, is determined by her choices: her choice to leave the Jedi Order, her choice to fight for the galaxy's freedom, and her choice to remain true to herself in a galaxy filled with moral complexities. The choices she made along the way define her not as a Jedi, Sith, or member of any faction, but as a figure who transcends the limitations of any traditional ideology. Her legacy continues to inspire those who seek a more balanced and compassionate way of life, those who reject the extremes of the Jedi and Sith and instead embrace the power of choice, the power of self-determination, and the power of balance. Ahsoka's story is a testament to the strength of the individual, the importance of moral clarity, and the belief that, in the end, the true purpose of the Force is not to dominate or control, but to connect with the universe and bring it into balance. As Ahsoka Tano's influence continues to evolve within the galaxy, the idea of balance in the Force becomes increasingly relevant to the future of Force users and the galaxy as a whole. In the context of the galaxy's future, Ahsoka's teachings could represent the next step in Force evolution. While both the Jedi and Sith have long been the most powerful and influential factions within the galaxy, Ahsoka's departure from the Jedi Order and her subsequent journey have proven that true mastery of the Force does not rely solely on the polarization between light and dark, but rather on the ability to embrace both aspects of the Force and find harmony between them. Her own experience and growth show that an individual's connection to the Force can be defined not by adherence to doctrine, but by a deeper, more personal and experiential understanding of the universe and the Force itself. This path forward, one that transcends the limitations of the Jedi and Sith philosophies, could offer a new perspective on the Force for future generations of Force-sensitive beings. For the next generation of Force users, Ahsoka's approach presents a radical departure from the established norms of the Jedi and Sith. Rather than being beholden to the rules and codes of the Jedi, or the ambitions and desires of the Sith, future Force users could look to Ahsoka's example of personal freedom, self-awareness, and independence. They would no longer need to define themselves by rigid ideologies, but could instead seek a deeper connection to the Force, one that allows them to embrace both their light and dark aspects in a balanced way. This approach would empower the next generation to act according to their own sense of morality, compassion, and purpose, rather than following the prescribed paths laid out by the Jedi or Sith. The future of the Force would be defined by individual choice, the freedom to explore the full spectrum of the Force and create a more dynamic relationship with it, one that is unique to each Force user. This evolutionary path for Force users also raises questions about the role of institutions in the future of the galaxy. The Jedi Order has always functioned as the primary organization for Force-sensitive individuals, training them to follow its strict code of peacekeeping and discipline. However, Ahsoka's experience shows that the Jedi's strict adherence to their code often limits their effectiveness and disconnects them from the galaxy's realities. The Sith, on the other hand, have long been focused on personal power, domination, and the pursuit of control, which ultimately leads to their downfall. Ahsoka's example suggests that the future may lie in individuals finding their own paths, free from the constraints of rigid institutional structures. This doesn't necessarily mean abandoning organizations like the Jedi Order, but rather evolving them to embrace personal freedom and flexibility in how they approach the Force. The next generation of Force users may benefit from mentorships, communities, and alliances that offer guidance and support, but do not enforce a one-size-fits-all ideology. The Jedi Order could transform into a more adaptive and inclusive organization where individual growth is prioritized over rigid adherence to rules. In this new order, Ahsoka's influence would be central to shaping how Force-sensitive beings see themselves in relation to the galaxy. She would be a symbol of the idea that growth comes from self-awareness, the ability to adapt, and the courage to reject outdated traditions that no longer serve the greater good. Future leaders would be drawn to Ahsoka's example, embracing the notion that the galaxy's future is not about defeating one side of the Force or another, but about achieving harmony. Ahsoka's philosophy, rooted in balance, independence, and justice, would inspire future generations to see the Force as a living energy to be respected, not manipulated or dominated. Ahsoka's influence would also extend far beyond the traditional realms of Force-sensitive beings. Her unique position in the galaxy, someone who is not tied to the Jedi, the Sith, or any other institutional ideology, allows her to bridge the gap between ordinary citizens and Force users. In a galaxy deeply divided by power struggles, political systems, and endless war, Ahsoka becomes a figure who represents hope, justice, and the possibility of reconciliation. She is a living example that individual actions, guided by compassion and moral clarity, can alter the course of history. As a figure who stands outside of established orders, Ahsoka provides a model of leadership that prioritizes the needs of the people over institutional power. As the galaxy enters a new era, Ahsoka's fate will be one that influences not only Force users, but the galaxy's political structures, its approach to governance, and the individual empowerment of its citizens. The galaxy has long been defined by the Jedi-Sith conflict, but Ahsoka's journey teaches that true mastery of the Force requires more than just adhering to established structures. It requires a deeper understanding of oneself, a commitment to balance, and a dedication to doing what is right, regardless of the cost. Ahsoka's future, as she continues to forge her own path, will represent the potential for true freedom, both for herself and for the galaxy as a whole. It is her choices, her independence, and her willingness to forge her own way that ultimately define her fate, making her one of the most influential and revered figures in the galaxy's history. Ahsoka's legacy also underscores the importance of personal choice and accountability. Throughout her life, she has never relied on external authorities to tell her what to do. Her decision to leave the Jedi Order, her refusal to align herself with the Sith, and her ability to remain true to her values in the face of overwhelming odds exemplify the power of self-determination. She has shown the galaxy that it is not the institutions that define the individual, but the choices the individual makes, and the impact they have on those around them. Ahsoka's independence continues to be a beacon for those who seek freedom and personal growth, making her one of the galaxy's most beloved and respected figures. The galaxy's future will be shaped not by the forces of war, control, or domination, but by individuals like Ahsoka, those who choose to fight for the greater good, who rise above the rigid ideologies of the past, and who live by the principles of balance and justice. Ahsoka Tano's legacy is one that will continue to inspire, offering the galaxy a path toward a more inclusive, harmonious, and balanced future. It is her choices, her freedom, and her unwavering dedication to doing what is right that will define the galaxy's course for generations to come. As Ahsoka Tano's influence ripples through the galaxy, her legacy becomes a key reference point for future generations of Force-sensitive individuals, political leaders, and everyday citizens. Her story teaches that true mastery of the Force lies not in following prescribed doctrines, but in understanding the self, embracing balance, and acknowledging that light and dark are not opposing forces to be conquered, but complementary aspects of a greater whole. This wisdom could radically alter how Force-sensitive individuals and even non-Force users view their roles within the galaxy. It marks a departure from the old Jedi-Sith binary, suggesting that balance and harmony are not only possible, but essential to the galaxy's future. One of the lasting aspects of Ahsoka's legacy is her ability to embrace ambiguity, a quality that sets her apart from other characters in the Star Wars saga. The Jedi Order demanded adherence to strict codes of behavior, often pushing individuals into a box that limited their growth. The Sith, in contrast, embraced unchecked emotions, which, while providing power, ultimately led to corruption and self-destruction. Ahsoka, however, refuses to fit neatly into either camp. By choosing to walk away from the Jedi Order, she demonstrated that true strength comes from understanding oneself and making moral decisions based on personal conviction rather than institutionalized rules. In the midst of the galaxy's chaos, Ahsoka found clarity by choosing balance, walking a path that was entirely her own and free from the expectations of either the Jedi or the Sith. Her fate is defined by freedom of choice, the ability to make decisions for the greater good while retaining personal agency. Unlike the Jedi, who often believe that their path to peace is the only valid one, Ahsoka was not bound by tradition. She chose to leave the Jedi Order when it no longer served her sense of what was right, despite her immense potential. Unlike the Sith, who seek power for themselves at any cost, Ahsoka's strength lay in her ability to reject domination and instead pursue a more harmonious relationship with the Force and the galaxy. Her understanding of the balance between light and dark led her to not just survive in the galaxy, but to become a powerful catalyst for change, a symbol that one does not need to conform to established orders or rigid ideologies to be effective. As Ahsoka continues to live and shape the post-Empire galaxy, she will likely encounter a variety of challenges that will test her resolve, her philosophies, and her ability to influence others. The rise of new powers, including factions like the First Order and the ever-present remnants of the Sith, pose threats to the galactic peace she works to maintain. But Ahsoka's path will remain defined by her ability to adapt, learn, and make difficult choices, qualities that make her one of the most unique and enduring figures in the galaxy. Even when faced with challenges that seem insurmountable, Ahsoka's core values, balance, self-awareness, and commitment to justice will guide her actions. Ahsoka's legacy also carries with it important lessons for those around her. Whether it's the rebel leaders, Force-sensitive beings, or everyday citizens who look to her as a symbol of hope, Ahsoka offers the galaxy a new way of thinking about the Force and how it can be wielded. Rather than seeing it as something that requires control or mastery, Ahsoka teaches that the Force is a natural force that exists within every individual. It is a force that connects the galaxy, and that, when properly understood, leads to peace, understanding, and ultimately balance. Her message is one of empowerment, that each person has the potential to connect with the Force in their own unique way, and that true mastery comes not from control or domination, but from understanding and harmonizing with the natural flow of life. Ahsoka's ability to unite disparate groups, like the Rebels and Mandalorians, is another key facet of her influence. Where the Jedi and Sith are often defined by their strict divisions, Ahsoka's role as a mediator and peacemaker reflects a more nuanced approach to galactic affairs. She is able to see beyond political factions, ideological divides, and long-standing rivalries, and instead focus on what can unite rather than divide. Ahsoka's approach to leadership is not about controlling or imposing her will, but about working with others to find common ground. She teaches that true leadership comes not from dominating others, but from understanding their needs and working together to achieve greater goals. This philosophy will continue to inspire new generations of leaders in the galaxy, leaders who value cooperation over conflict and seek to foster a galaxy where balance is achieved through understanding rather than warfare. The future of Ahsoka Tano is one of possibility, where her journey represents not just the path of a Force user, but also the evolution of a galaxy. As the galaxy begins to rebuild after the fall of the Empire, Ahsoka Tano's role becomes even more crucial. With the remnants of the Empire scattered and the formation of the New Republic, Ahsoka's influence on the New Republic and its leaders cannot be understated. Though she does not seek political power, her actions, words, and teachings can shape the galaxy's new government. Her philosophy of balance could provide an alternative to the extremes of both the Jedi and the Sith, and inspire a government that values cooperation, understanding, and unity over division and conflict. In a galaxy that has long been torn apart by warring ideologies, Ahsoka's message of peace through balance offers a more holistic vision of what the New Republic could become. Rather than being a rigid authoritarian state like the Empire or the Jedi Order, the New Republic could benefit from Ahsoka's wisdom and adaptability, integrating self-awareness and personal responsibility into its political philosophy. Ahsoka's role as an advisor and strategist for the New Republic could provide a much-needed voice of reason in a time of galactic flux. Her understanding of both the political structures of the Republic and the spiritual aspects of the Force allows her to bridge the gap between the political and the mystical. As the galaxy enters a new era, the Republic could look to her not just for tactical advice, but for philosophical guidance on how to create a more balanced and peaceful galaxy. Ahsoka's wisdom, honed through her personal experiences and independent journey, could inspire leaders to govern with a deeper sense of empathy, recognizing that peace cannot simply be imposed from the top down, but must be nurtured at every level of society. Ahsoka's continued role in the galaxy also signifies an important shift in the way Force-sensitive individuals relate to the galaxy around them. In the past, the Jedi were often seen as the guardians of peace, but their involvement in the Clone Wars and their eventual failure to prevent the rise of the Empire showed that their approach to the Force was deeply flawed. The Sith, on the other hand, sought power at all costs, leading to destruction and corruption. Ahsoka's journey proves that true mastery of the Force does not require one to subscribe to any dogmatic philosophy, but to instead embrace the natural flow of the Force and use its energy to promote balance, justice, and compassion. This shift in thinking could profoundly impact the next generation of Force users, those who choose to forge their own path, unburdened by the limitations of the Jedi-Sith dichotomy. While Ahsoka has made peace with the dark side's influence in the galaxy, her legacy will not be one of embracing the extremes of either the Jedi or the Sith. Her path of balance reflects a deeper understanding of the Force as a tool for healing, not destruction. It is likely that future generations of Force-sensitive beings will look to Ahsoka as a model for how to live in harmony with the Force, and not exploit it for personal gain or political power. Her journey represents the idea that it is possible to respect the Force without being consumed by it. Self-discipline, moral clarity, and a commitment to balance in all aspects of life will be essential principles for those who follow in Ahsoka's footsteps. Ahsoka's path may also inspire rebellions and movements throughout the galaxy, as individuals and groups who feel oppressed or marginalized begin to see the possibility of creating change from within. By rejecting the established power structures that have long controlled the galaxy, Ahsoka has shown that personal action can have a profound impact. In a galaxy where the Empire's legacy still lingers, Ahsoka's legacy of personal freedom and integrity will provide a foundation for those seeking to break free from the tyranny of any oppressive system. Whether it's small revolts or larger-scale political movements, Ahsoka's example of resistance against tyranny will continue to inspire those who fight for justice and freedom in a galaxy where the forces of control still attempt to rise. Ahsoka's role in the future of the galaxy is complex and multifaceted. As the galaxy continues to heal from the devastation of the Clone Wars, the rise of the Empire, and the fall of the New Republic, her guiding presence will be essential to shaping the future. As Ahsoka Tano's story unfolds in the years following the fall of the Empire, her role in shaping the future of the galaxy continues to evolve. Her journey, one of independence and self-discovery, has made her an important figure not just within the realm of Force-sensitive beings, but in the broader galactic political landscape as well. The galaxy, now free from the reign of the Empire, faces numerous challenges as it begins the process of healing and rebuilding. With the First Order emerging from the remnants of Imperial forces and the galaxy still scarred by years of conflict, Ahsoka's wisdom and perspective become more crucial than ever. Her journey teaches that true strength lies not in domination or control, but in balance, compassion, and the willingness to move beyond the rigid confines of old ideologies. Ahsoka's neutrality and her ability to adapt to shifting galactic landscapes position her as a uniquely powerful figure in the post-Empire era. While Jedi and Sith have been traditionally seen as the dominant influences on the galaxy's Force-sensitive population, Ahsoka's neutral approach shows that one does not need to be tied to any specific ideology to understand and wield the Force effectively. Her departure from the Jedi Order and the eventual rejection of both Jedi and Sith dogma set her apart as a figure who transcends these ancient conflicts. The galaxy's future, it seems, is no longer defined by the old binary between light and dark, Jedi and Sith, but by the potential for new ideas to emerge, ideas that prioritize balance, freedom, and self-determination. One of Ahsoka's greatest contributions to the galaxy's future is her ability to inspire new generations of Force users and leaders. As the galaxy continues to rebuild in the wake of the Empire's fall, the next generation will look to figures like Ahsoka for guidance, figures who have survived the turmoil, learned from the past, and are now poised to chart a new course for the future. Ahsoka's independence and self-reliance make her a perfect example for young Force-sensitive individuals who may be struggling to find their place in a galaxy that has been torn apart by war and tyranny. Through her, they learn that true strength does not come from following a rigid doctrine or seeking personal power, but from understanding the self, embracing balance, and finding one's own way in the galaxy. Ahsoka's continued role in the post-Empire galaxy is a symbol of hope for a galaxy in recovery. She represents the possibility that even after centuries of Jedi-Sith conflict and the tyranny of the Empire, the galaxy can still find a path forward, one that leads not to domination, but to understanding and balance. As the Rebel Alliance gives way to the New Republic, Ahsoka's legacy will be a beacon for those who seek a more inclusive, compassionate, and peaceful future. Her wisdom, gained through years of personal growth, loss, and triumph, will continue to guide the galaxy toward a future where balance is the key to peace and harmony. Ahsoka's role as a mentor is one of the most enduring aspects of her character. Over the years, she has guided Ezra Bridger, Sabine Wren, and other young rebels, teaching them about the Force and helping them to understand their own potential. Her influence extends far beyond her time with the Jedi Order or the Rebel Alliance. Ahsoka's wisdom has always been about helping others discover their own path, not imposing her views or expectations upon them. This teaching method, one that encourages personal growth and self-reflection, is part of what makes her so influential in the galaxy's new era. Rather than shaping others into her image, Ahsoka empowers them to forge their own destinies, drawing upon their unique strengths and understanding of the Force. Ahsoka's moral compass is another key component of her role in the galaxy's future. Unlike the Jedi, who are often bound by strict codes and sometimes rigid concepts of right and wrong, Ahsoka operates from a place of empathy and compassion. Her decisions are not made from a place of dogma, but from a deep understanding of the complexities of the galaxy. She recognizes that no conflict is ever black and white, and that the Force cannot be reduced to a simplistic good versus evil dichotomy. Ahsoka's approach is more nuanced. She understands that true peace comes from balance, and that understanding is not achieved through control, but through dialogue, empathy, and a commitment to doing what is right, even when it's not easy. In the post-Empire galaxy, Ahsoka's influence will be felt not just among Force users, but throughout the entire galactic community. The New Republic, despite its initial struggles, offers the galaxy's citizens a new opportunity for peace and rebuilding. Ahsoka's teachings could help the Republic grow into something more than just a political entity. It could evolve into an organization that values compassion, balance, and self-determination. As the galaxy recovers, Ahsoka's philosophy will likely permeate not only Force-sensitive organizations, but the larger galactic community as a whole. It will inspire citizens of the galaxy to recognize the importance of balance, both within the Force and in the way they interact with the galaxy and each other. In conclusion, Ahsoka Tano's legacy in the post-Empire galaxy will be one of enduring influence, compassion, and balance. Her journey from Jedi Padawan to independent Force user symbolizes the power of personal choice, and her path forward will serve as an example for future generations of Force-sensitive beings and political leaders alike. As the galaxy continues to rebuild, Ahsoka's story offers a vision for a galaxy at peace, one where the Force is not a tool for domination, but a means for understanding, healing, and unity. The fate of Ahsoka Tano is one that reflects the potential for the galaxy to evolve beyond the limitations of the Jedi and Sith, embracing a more holistic and compassionate future. Ahsoka's wisdom is rooted in the lessons she learned from both the Jedi and her time apart from them, as well as her time in the Rebellion. The galaxy that emerges from the ashes of the Empire will not be a continuation of the Old Republic, nor a mere transition from the tyranny of the Sith and the Empire to an uncertain new government. It will require an entirely new approach to the use of power and the distribution of justice. The Jedi, in their devotion to peace, allowed the Force to be manipulated by politics, leading them to neglect their role in the broader galactic conflict. The Sith, on the other hand, wielded the Force as a weapon of domination. Ahsoka's path provides an alternative model, one of personal responsibility and self-determined action, which can guide both Force-sensitive individuals and non-Force users to contribute positively to the rebuilding of the galaxy. Ahsoka's role as a mentor will continue to be a defining aspect of her influence in this post-Empire galaxy. Her experience in the Clone Wars, her personal break from the Jedi, and her involvement with the Rebels have all provided her with a wealth of experience that future generations can benefit from. Through her mentorship, Ahsoka will teach the next generation of Force-sensitive beings that the path of balance requires not only self-awareness, but also an understanding of the larger galactic struggles. Ahsoka herself will likely take on a more guiding role, helping those who are still confused about their identity in a galaxy free from Empire rule, while encouraging them to find their own path in the Force, just as she did. Whether she does so openly, through direct training, or more subtly, her guidance will be invaluable in ensuring that the Jedi's and Sith's old methods of training do not repeat themselves. Ahsoka's influence will extend beyond just Force-sensitive beings. The galaxy, after years of dictatorship under the Empire, is faced with the delicate process of rebuilding. One of the most profound aspects of Ahsoka's influence will be her ability to bring about reconciliation between groups previously divided by conflict. Ahsoka's role in galactic peacekeeping extends to ensuring that the lessons of the past are not forgotten, but applied to the galaxy's future. The Empire may have fallen, but the ideologies that fueled it have not simply disappeared. There are always forces, whether political, military, or even ideological, that will attempt to rise again, seeking to dominate the galaxy or to manipulate the Force for their own gain. Ahsoka's awareness of this reality, along with her ability to see the long-term consequences of actions, makes her an indispensable figure in ensuring that the dark side's influence does not once again take hold of the galaxy. Her freedom from the Jedi Code and her understanding of the Force's balance will be key in identifying these threats early and offering a more nuanced approach to combating them. As she continues to journey across the galaxy, Ahsoka's interactions with key figures, whether former allies or new partners, will be essential in her efforts to shape the galaxy's future. Her relationship with Ezra Bridger, Sabine Wren, and Hera Syndulla proves that Ahsoka is not just a lone figure in the galaxy. She is a connector, a person who brings together those who would otherwise be divided. These relationships speak to her ability to mentor and guide those who are just beginning to understand the Force, as well as to use her influence to inspire others to follow in her footsteps. As the galaxy moves further away from the tyranny of the Empire and the Jedi-Sith conflict, Ahsoka Tano's role as a neutral force in the galaxy becomes more important. Her journey from being a Jedi Padawan to an independent Force user is emblematic of the shifting perceptions of the Force itself. Her experiences have proven that the path of balance does not necessarily lie in adhering to Jedi traditions or the Sith's pursuit of power. It lies in understanding, adapting, and integrating the various aspects of the Force without becoming overwhelmed by the pull of either extreme. As the galaxy's understanding of the Force evolves, Ahsoka's philosophy of balance will continue to shape how Force-sensitive individuals approach their own relationship with the Force. Ahsoka's decision to remain independent is a critical aspect of her legacy. She did not allow herself to be drawn into the traditional structures of the galaxy's power. After her departure from the Jedi Order, she made the conscious choice to carve out her own identity, not defined by the Jedi or Sith, but by her own actions, values, and the universal truths she discovered. This independence, however, did not come without its own costs. By stepping away from the Jedi, Ahsoka chose a path fraught with uncertainty, and while her independence gave her the freedom to act on her own terms, it also meant that she had to constantly reassess her place in the galactic struggle. Throughout her journey, she demonstrated the courage to stand alone, even when it meant going against the galaxy's expectations and facing her inner conflicts. As Ahsoka's influence spreads across the galaxy, her role as a moral guide and teacher will become ever more prominent. She has already proven herself as a mentor to characters like Ezra Bridger and Sabine Wren, both of whom look to her for guidance in difficult moments. Ahsoka's ability to mentor without imposing her own beliefs is what makes her such a powerful figure. Unlike the Jedi, who often impose their beliefs and rigid codes on their apprentices, Ahsoka teaches through example and questioning, encouraging her students to discover their own paths and connections to the Force. This mentorship allows them to grow individually without becoming constrained by an institutional framework that might restrict their understanding of the galaxy's complexities. In the post-Empire era, the role of Force-sensitive individuals becomes even more crucial. The galaxy will need new leaders, and Ahsoka's teachings will provide the foundation for the next generation of Force users, individuals who can operate independently, not bound by the Jedi's strict codes or the Sith's desire for domination, but guided by moral clarity, balance, and compassion. The Jedi's approach to the Force, one of detachment and suppression, no longer seems viable in the galaxy's new era. Similarly, the Sith's approach, which has always been one of self-interest, ambition, and conflict, leaves only destruction in its wake. Ahsoka's teachings provide a more nuanced path, one that allows future Force users to see the Force not as a tool for control, but as a living entity to be respected and understood. As Ahsoka continues her journey, she will not only inspire the next generation of Force users, but also become a symbol of the potential for the galaxy to transcend the old paradigms of Jedi and Sith. Ahsoka represents the idea that individuals can choose to live by their own moral compass, and that true peace in the galaxy comes not from the control of the Force, but from understanding its balance. Her ability to combine strength and compassion, independence and loyalty to the greater good, makes her the embodiment of a new kind of Force user, one who charts their own course while contributing to the galaxy's ongoing quest for peace. The legacy of Ahsoka Tano is one of empowerment, freedom, and balance. She has proven that true strength lies not in following strict codes or ideals, but in being able to recognize the complexity of the universe and finding one's own path within it. As the galaxy moves into this new era, Ahsoka's role will continue to be one of quiet guidance, moral clarity, and hope for a galaxy in need of healing. Her fate is not one of a Jedi Knight or a Sith Lord, but of a Force user who stands alone yet together with the galaxy, committed to forging a path based on balance, compassion, and a deep understanding of the Force's true nature. In this new age, Ahsoka Tano is more than a legacy. She is a symbol of the future, and her influence will continue to shape the galaxy for generations to come. As Ahsoka Tano's journey unfolds further, the galaxy's future will undoubtedly be shaped by the new generation of Force-sensitive beings she has helped to inspire and mentor. Her influence reaches far beyond traditional teachings, and it's in the subtle moments of mentorship that her true impact on the galaxy begins to take root. Ahsoka has never sought to create a following in the traditional sense, like the Jedi Order or the Sith, but rather to offer guidance to those who seek balance and clarity. This approach not only strengthens those she mentors, but also sets the stage for the creation of a new Force in the galaxy, a Force that is personal, reflective, and deeply connected to the core principles of balance in the Force. Ahsoka's teachings show that the Force is not about dominance or submission, but about harmony and understanding. Her approach is one that encourages individuals to trust their instincts, embrace their emotions without being controlled by them, and to look beyond the light and dark, to find the deeper connection between all aspects of the Force. As the galaxy faces new conflicts, it will require not just soldiers or warriors, but philosophers and leaders who can help navigate the complex web of galactic politics and Force-sensitive interactions. Ahsoka's legacy as a teacher and mentor will be felt most powerfully in the next generation, whose path will not be dictated by rigid doctrines, but by a sense of personal awareness and moral clarity. The galaxy, despite the fall of the Empire, is still recovering from its wounds. The rise of the First Order proves that the ideologies of the past have not been eradicated, and shadow organizations continue to plot behind the scenes. Ahsoka's understanding of balance is essential in this recovery. Her ability to perceive the true nature of the galaxy's issues, how power can corrupt, how division breeds conflict, will make her a key figure in the effort to restore stability. Ahsoka Tano's influence will be invaluable in guiding both the New Republic and other galactic powers to a better future, one that avoids the mistakes of both the Jedi and the Sith. She represents the bridge between these two forces, one that sees the strengths and flaws of both, but seeks a new way forward. Her connection with the Mandalorians, particularly with Sabine Wren, shows the depth of Ahsoka's reach into the galaxy's most complex and fragmented factions. The Mandalorians, once a people defined by war, are now trying to rebuild their society. Ahsoka's involvement with them offers a model for reconciliation and the idea that a galaxy can heal through understanding and compromise rather than through war or revenge. She has become not just a mentor to Sabine, but a symbol of the possibility of a future where past conflicts can be set aside for the greater good. Through Ahsoka's influence, Mandalore has the potential to find peace, not by defeating their enemies, but by healing the wounds of the past and uniting under a common cause. The First Order poses a new threat to the galaxy, and Ahsoka's actions will be pivotal in ensuring that its rise does not echo the mistakes of the Empire. The galactic response to the First Order will need to balance military action with diplomatic efforts, and Ahsoka, with her deep understanding of both war and peace, will be an important voice in shaping the response. Her ability to see the big picture, to recognize the flaws of both the New Republic and the First Order, will provide a counterbalance to the escalating tensions. It is not about defeating an enemy on the battlefield, but understanding why such ideologies continue to take root and how the galaxy can move beyond endless conflict. In the future, Ahsoka's legacy will continue to define the new generation of Force users. Unlike the Jedi, whose teachings were often rigid and hierarchical, Ahsoka represents a new form of guidance, one that allows individuals to grow and find their own path within the galaxy. Ahsoka's role in shaping this future will be critical, as she teaches that true mastery of the Force does not come from controlling it or limiting it, but from harnessing its full potential through understanding its deeper mysteries. As Ahsoka continues her journey, her relationship with key characters like Ezra Bridger, Sabine Wren, and Hera Syndulla will further define her place in the galaxy's future. The next generation of rebels, leaders, and Force-sensitive individuals will be deeply influenced by her example. Her independence, balance, and commitment to justice will serve as a model for those who seek to forge a new path in the galaxy. Ahsoka's ability to inspire those around her will prove essential in ensuring that the future of the galaxy is not dictated by the old ways of conflict, but by a more nuanced and harmonious approach to power and governance. One of the critical aspects of Ahsoka's influence will be her ability to bring people together. Whether it's the Mandalorians, the Rebels, or other factions of the galaxy, Ahsoka has always been able to unite those with conflicting interests. She understands that the true strength of the galaxy lies in its diversity and in the ability of its people to find common ground despite their differences. Ahsoka's teachings will encourage others to recognize the value in compromise and collaboration. It is through unity that the galaxy will be able to achieve lasting peace, a peace that is not won through violence or control, but through the understanding that all factions, species, and individuals must work together to restore balance and harmony. As the galaxy continues to move into the future, the role of Ahsoka Tano will remain ever relevant. Her legacy as a mentor, leader, and Force-sensitive individual who has chosen her own path free from the restrictions of both Jedi and Sith, will continue to inspire future generations. Her lessons will not just be about the Force, but about how to live in harmony with others, how to balance one's personal journey with the larger needs of the galaxy, and how to forge a future that does not repeat the mistakes of the past. As the post-Empire galaxy enters an era of rebuilding and reconciliation, Ahsoka Tano's journey as a moral guide, mentor, and neutral force continues to have far-reaching implications. Her role as an individual who rejects rigid ideologies and embraces the balance of the Force makes her an indispensable figure in shaping the galaxy's new order. Unlike the Jedi, whose rigid adherence to their code often led to a disconnect from the realities of the galaxy, and the Sith, who sought power at any cost, Ahsoka's path is one of personal integrity and balance, a balance that recognizes the complexities of the Force rather than simply adhering to the extremes of light or dark. In a galaxy still grappling with the aftershocks of the Empire, the rise of the First Order, and the scattering of Imperial remnants, Ahsoka's influence will be felt in every corner of the galaxy. Her refusal to be tied to any singular order or faction leaves her as one of the few who can bring different groups together. She is a figure who, while no longer bound by the dogmas of the Jedi or the corruption of the Sith, understands the larger stakes of the galaxy's future. Her deep knowledge of both Jedi and Sith philosophies, combined with her experience in the rebellion, gives her the unique ability to guide individuals and factions toward a future that transcends old conflicts. Ahsoka's role as a symbol of unity and balance in a fragmented galaxy cannot be understated. Where the galaxy has been divided for centuries between the Jedi and Sith, Ahsoka embodies a third way, one that does not suppress emotion like the Jedi, nor embrace unchecked passion like the Sith, but instead understands and harnesses both sides of the Force. She teaches that true power comes not from dominating others or rejecting one side in favor of the other, but from harmony. This understanding is vital as the galaxy moves into an uncertain future, where the lines between good and evil are no longer as clear-cut as they once seemed. The new generation of Force-sensitive individuals will look to Ahsoka as a model for how to live with integrity, compassion, and self-awareness in a galaxy marked by chaos and change. Unlike the Jedi, whose teachings focused on detachment and the suppression of emotion, Ahsoka encourages balance, the understanding that emotion, when properly guided, can be a source of strength rather than a path to destruction. This approach, rooted in her own journey of self-discovery and personal freedom, will influence future generations to forge their own paths in the galaxy. Her ability to adapt to new challenges, without becoming enslaved to tradition or ideology, will provide the guidance needed to prevent the galaxy from falling into the same destructive patterns of the past. Ahsoka's role as a leader is also crucial in the post-Empire galaxy. As Force-sensitive beings and political leaders continue to navigate the complexities of the galaxy's recovery, Ahsoka's example of personal responsibility and moral clarity will shape their approach to governance. In a galaxy where the First Order and other Imperial factions still cling to remnants of the past, Ahsoka's influence will be instrumental in ensuring that the new government does not fall into the same traps of oppression and control. The new Republic, in its effort to rebuild, must find a way to balance its military needs with its moral obligations. Ahsoka's teachings provide the perfect framework for this balance, a framework that does not seek to eliminate the dark side of the Force, but to integrate it with the light. She has shown that true peace cannot be imposed through violence or dominance, but must come from mutual understanding and cooperation. Ahsoka's unique position also places her at the heart of galactic diplomacy. While the Jedi were often confined by their strict codes, and the Sith were consumed by their desire for power, Ahsoka operates as a neutral force, someone who can engage with multiple factions and perspectives without being tied to any one ideology. This ability to navigate complex political situations while staying true to her core values makes Ahsoka an invaluable figure as the galaxy begins the difficult task of rebuilding. Her leadership will not come from a place of authoritarian control, but from the wisdom and balance that she has cultivated throughout her journey. The post-Empire galaxy will be shaped by those who are able to move beyond the old conflicts and recognize the potential for reconciliation and healing. Ahsoka's teachings, rooted in the idea that peace is not the absence of conflict, but the understanding and integration of both light and dark, provide the path forward. She demonstrates that balance in the Force can only be achieved when one accepts both sides, acknowledging their interconnectedness, rather than rejecting them in favor of one extreme or another. The future of the galaxy is uncertain, but Ahsoka's legacy will endure as a symbol of personal choice, self-awareness, and the pursuit of balance. Her influence will be felt across both the Force-sensitive communities and the galactic political structures as they work to heal the wounds left by years of conflict. Ahsoka's wisdom, drawn from her own journey of self-discovery and her rejection of rigid ideologies, will continue to guide the galaxy's leaders as they strive to create a more just and peaceful future. Her fate, and the legacy she leaves behind, will be one of enduring influence, one that inspires future generations to walk a path defined not by the extremes of the past, but by the balance that she so deeply embraced. Ahsoka Tano's journey has been one of freedom, self-determination, and compassion. Through her choices, she has shown that it is possible to transcend the limitations of the Jedi and Sith, and to live a life grounded in understanding, balance, and the betterment of the galaxy. As she continues to guide the galaxy in this new era, her influence will be felt not only by the next generation of Force users, but by all who seek a galaxy at peace, a peace that is not won by defeating an enemy, but by finding balance in the face of endless division. As the galaxy transitions from the ashes of the Empire to a new era of rebuilding, Ahsoka Tano's role continues to shift from being an active participant in galactic conflicts to a more strategic figure in the formation of new systems and structures. While the Jedi Order and the Sith were defined by their rigid approaches to the Force, Ahsoka represents a new, more flexible understanding of what it means to be Force-sensitive. She is someone who has rejected traditional roles, choosing instead to navigate the galaxy by her own moral compass. Her unique perspective allows her to understand that the future of the galaxy cannot simply be shaped by existing powers or ideologies, but by new ideas that prioritize balance, cooperation, and understanding. As the New Republic seeks to establish order in a galaxy still recovering from the Empire's grip, Ahsoka's influence will be pivotal in ensuring that the mistakes of the past are not repeated. She has experienced the fall of the Jedi Order, the rise of the Empire, and the struggle of the rebellion, and she understands that true peace is not something that can be imposed by force or achieved through the destruction of enemies, but by understanding the complex dynamics of the galaxy and the interconnectedness of all life. This understanding is central to her role as a guide in the New Republic's efforts to create a peaceful and just galaxy. Ahsoka's independence from the Jedi, her refusal to accept traditional labels, and her ability to create her own path in the galaxy offer a unique perspective on how the galaxy should evolve. Ahsoka's ability to embrace neutrality in a galaxy plagued by extreme ideologies will be central to the future of the New Republic. In a galaxy still torn apart by political divisions and the residual power of the Empire, Ahsoka's influence will also be felt in her ability to inspire hope in others. The Mandalorians, who once reveled in constant warfare and conquest, will look to Ahsoka's example as a path toward reconciliation and peace. Her ability to work with Sabine Wren, Ezra Bridger, and Hera Syndulla shows that she has the ability to unite disparate factions, not through military might or coercion, but through a shared vision of a galaxy built on mutual understanding and cooperation. Ahsoka's leadership style is one that values individuality, freedom, and the collective good, and these principles will continue to influence those who look to her for guidance. While Ahsoka remains deeply involved in the political and spiritual rebuilding of the galaxy, her personal journey continues as well. She remains a searcher, someone who is constantly evolving and learning from the world around her. The challenges she faces will continue to test her understanding of the Force and her place in the galaxy. Ahsoka's ability to question and reflect on her experiences has made her not just a skilled warrior but a wise leader. Her connection to the Force, though deeply personal, is also one that she uses to help others find their own connection to it. She does not impose her beliefs on others, but instead offers her wisdom as a tool for others to use in their own journeys. In doing so, she provides a model for how to live with integrity, how to embrace balance, and how to use one's abilities not for personal gain, but for the greater good. The New Republic faces a difficult road ahead as it seeks to unite the galaxy's fractured factions and combat the ever-present threats of the First Order and other dark forces. However, Ahsoka's approach to leadership will continue to guide the galaxy through these challenges. Her neutrality is not a rejection of action, but a call to see the bigger picture, to understand that true power is not found in control but in wisdom, balance, and understanding. In the face of adversity, Ahsoka will continue to show that the galaxy's future lies in collaboration, empathy, and a willingness to learn from the past without being defined by it. Ahsoka's legacy in the galaxy's future will be defined by her ability to transcend the conflict between light and dark, Jedi and Sith, and instead focus on what truly matters: the galaxy's healing, its future, and the ability to forge a new path that is defined not by old ideologies, but by a commitment to balance, peace, and justice. Her influence will continue to shape not just Force users, but the galactic leaders, citizens, and communities who look to her as a model for how to live a life guided by understanding and compassion. As Ahsoka Tano moves forward in the galaxy, her independence will remain a powerful symbol of the possibility for personal growth. Her journey has taught the galaxy that true mastery of the Force is not about dominating or controlling others, but about understanding and harmonizing with the natural forces of the universe. In a galaxy torn by conflict, Ahsoka's influence will continue to inspire future generations to embrace balance, work together, and live with integrity. The future of the galaxy may still be uncertain, but Ahsoka's legacy will provide the guidance needed to navigate it toward a future of peace, unity, and balance. As the galaxy continues its rebuilding phase, the influence of Ahsoka Tano is felt far beyond her interactions with Force-sensitive individuals or political figures. Her journey, rooted in independence, balance, and moral clarity, will continue to serve as a guiding light for those seeking a more nuanced and compassionate approach to the galaxy's ongoing struggles. In a galaxy that has been ravaged by centuries of war, tyranny, and division, Ahsoka's ability to see beyond the extremes of light and dark, and to embrace both sides of the Force, offers a new path forward. As she grows into a spiritual and philosophical leader, her influence will extend beyond the traditional boundaries of Jedi and Sith, shaping the future of the galaxy in ways that have yet to be fully understood. The New Republic, while an imperfect system, represents the galaxy's best hope for overcoming the legacy of Imperial rule and creating a more just and peaceful order. However, as Ahsoka knows well from her own experiences, power, whether in the hands of the Jedi, the Sith, or the Republic, can be easily corrupted. The Rebel Alliance, with its commitment to justice and freedom, has now become the New Republic, but it faces many of the same challenges and pitfalls that led to the fall of the Old Republic. Ahsoka's role in this new galaxy is not to create new institutions or lead a rebellion, but to ensure the galaxy does not fall into the same patterns of conflict and oppression. Her teachings about balance will shape the philosophical foundation of the New Republic, ensuring that it does not become yet another authoritarian regime like the Empire. One of the most critical aspects of Ahsoka's influence will be her ability to challenge authority without falling into the trap of anarchy or chaos. While the Jedi often viewed their power as a means of enforcing peace, Ahsoka understands that peace cannot be imposed. It must be earned and maintained through mutual respect and understanding. Similarly, while the Sith believed that dominance and control were the path to strength, Ahsoka recognizes that true strength comes from embracing vulnerability, adapting to circumstances, and remaining open to new ideas. Leadership, for Ahsoka, is about empowering others to take responsibility for their actions, rather than simply following orders or relying on centralized authority. Ahsoka's mentorship will continue to play a vital role in shaping the next generation of leaders and Force users. Rather than creating an institution like the Jedi Order, Ahsoka will focus on helping others develop their unique relationship with the Force. Her mentorship will encourage self-reliance, personal growth, and the ability to think critically about the choices they make. Ahsoka's guidance is not about teaching others to follow a strict code, but about helping them understand their own moral compass and how to apply that compass in a galaxy filled with gray areas. In this way, Ahsoka's legacy will ensure that future Force users are equipped not only with the knowledge of how to use the Force, but with the wisdom to apply it in ways that promote peace, justice, and balance, without falling into the extremes that have defined so many previous generations. Ahsoka's independence is also a critical part of her legacy. By choosing to walk away from the Jedi Order, she did not reject the Force itself, but rather the dogmatic approach that had confined it. Her independence from the Jedi and Sith gave her the freedom to shape her own destiny, and it is this freedom that allows her to offer the galaxy a new perspective on how the Force should be used. Rather than being beholden to an institution or faction, Ahsoka's moral clarity is rooted in personal responsibility and a deep understanding of the galaxy's complexities. This makes her not just a leader, but a beacon of hope for all who seek to understand their place in the galaxy, free from the confines of dogma or outdated philosophies. Ahsoka's ability to adapt to new challenges will also be a key part of her legacy. Unlike the Jedi, who were often inflexible in their approach to galactic issues, Ahsoka has always demonstrated the ability to change her approach when necessary. Her decision to leave the Jedi Order, her willingness to accept failure, and her ability to move forward from her experiences are all examples of her growth and maturity. This adaptability is crucial in the post-Empire galaxy, where new threats and challenges are constantly emerging. Ahsoka's open-mindedness and willingness to learn from her experiences will make her an invaluable figure in the galactic recovery, ensuring that the galaxy does not simply return to the old ways of thinking, but instead moves forward with a new understanding of the Force and its role in the galaxy. Ahsoka's legacy in the galaxy will ultimately be defined by her commitment to balance, compassion, and self-determination. She is not someone who seeks to impose her views on others or force people to follow her ideology, but someone who helps others find their own path. This sense of personal responsibility, the idea that each individual has the power and the duty to make their own choices, will be a central part of her teachings for future generations. Ahsoka will show that true mastery of the Force does not come from control or dominance, but from understanding, accepting the duality of the Force, and embracing the idea that balance is achieved when both light and dark are in harmony. Her future will be one where she continues to guide, influence, and inspire those who seek a galaxy defined by justice, peace, and understanding. Whether she serves as a mentor, a spiritual guide, or a strategic leader, Ahsoka's impact on the galaxy will be profound and lasting. Her journey is a testament to the power of choice, and her legacy will continue to guide future generations toward a better, more balanced galaxy. As Ahsoka Tano's journey continues to unfold, the galaxy's future remains intricately tied to her unique role as a guide and influencer. In a galaxy that has spent centuries in the throes of ideological conflict, Ahsoka's approach to the Force presents a critical shift in how the galaxy will heal and grow. She serves not only as a figure who defies the traditional Jedi-Sith dichotomy, but also as a symbol of the possibility for coexistence, compromise, and self-determination. Her commitment to understanding the balance of the Force, without being bound to the structures of either the Jedi or Sith, provides a framework for future generations of Force-sensitive beings to navigate the galaxy in new ways, rooted in personal integrity, compassion, and individual choice. As the new Republic rises from the ashes of the Empire, it faces a galaxy still rife with conflict and division. Although the Empire's fall has given way to the opportunity for rebuilding, the galaxy is far from unified. The First Order, emerging from the Empire's remnants, continues to pose a threat, and the galaxy remains deeply fractured, both politically and spiritually. Amidst this chaos, Ahsoka's role becomes even more vital. Ahsoka's role in the political landscape of the galaxy also positions her as a mediator between the various factions and cultures of the galaxy. The Mandalorians, the Chiss, and the various species of the Outer Rim all have their own histories and priorities, and uniting these different groups will require someone with a deep understanding of the Force and a willingness to listen to different perspectives. Ahsoka's personal journey has taught her that the galaxy is not simply black or white, it is filled with grays, and to achieve peace, one must understand the complexities of the different forces at play. Her wisdom will be crucial in helping to navigate these complexities, offering a voice of reason that can unite those who would otherwise be at odds. Ahsoka's influence also extends beyond the political and military realms. She is a symbol for those who are searching for personal peace in a galaxy that has been torn apart by war. The idea that individuals can choose their own path, free from the constraints of old traditions, is one of Ahsoka's greatest gifts to the galaxy. She demonstrates that the Force is not a tool for power or control, but an energy that is meant to be understood, embraced, and used in service of others. Her decision to leave the Jedi Order and reject the Sith shows the galaxy that it is possible to live with the Force in a way that is not dominated by rigid doctrines, but guided by personal integrity and a deep sense of justice. As the galaxy heals, Force-sensitive individuals will look to Ahsoka as a model for how to live in harmony with the Force, without being defined by the restrictive teachings of the Jedi or the destructive path of the Sith. Ahsoka's teachings on balance and compassion will continue to influence the next generation of Force users. Her mentorship will provide them with the tools to navigate the complexities of the Force in a way that is not about control, but about understanding. Her approach to the Force emphasizes that true strength comes not from suppression, but from harmony. Ahsoka's guidance will ensure that future generations of Force-sensitive individuals are not bound by the failures of the past. Instead, they will be encouraged to embrace the Force's complexity and use it to bring about lasting peace and justice in the galaxy. Furthermore, Ahsoka's relationship with the next generation of leaders, such as Sabine Wren and Ezra Bridger, will be critical in shaping the future of galactic politics. Her mentorship has already played a significant role in the development of these characters, and as they continue to grow into their own roles as leaders, Ahsoka's wisdom will continue to guide them. Her neutrality and refusal to follow traditional structures provide a fresh perspective for those who seek a more balanced and compassionate galaxy. Ahsoka teaches them that true leadership does not require following the rules of the past, but rather creating a new path, one that acknowledges the complexities of the galaxy and respects the autonomy of those within it. One of Ahsoka's greatest contributions will be her role as a symbol of hope in a galaxy that has long been marked by division, war, and oppression. Her independence, her ability to stand firm in her beliefs, and her commitment to balance have made her a figure who inspires others to take action. Whether it's in the form of rebellions, grassroots movements, or personal journeys of self-discovery, Ahsoka's legacy will continue to shape how the galaxy moves forward. The galaxy no longer needs another institution or power structure. It needs individuals who are willing to question the past, embrace the complexities of the Force, and use their strength to create a future that is just and balanced. Ahsoka Tano is not just a mentor or leader. She is a symbol of possibility, showing the galaxy that there is always a path forward, even in the most uncertain of times. Ahsoka's final legacy will be one of balance, not just for the Force, but for the galaxy at large. Her example as a Force user, leader, and mentor will be felt for generations to come. The galaxy's future lies not in the extremes of the Jedi or the Sith, but in the understanding and integration of both the light and dark sides of the Force. Ahsoka's refusal to accept the status quo, her courage to walk her own path, and her ability to bring others together will be the foundation upon which the galaxy will build its future. As the galaxy continues to rebuild after the fall of the Empire, the influence of Ahsoka Tano only grows, and her role becomes ever more central in the shaping of a new galactic order. Her decisions, made throughout her life, have led her to a point where she is no longer just a former Jedi, a rebel leader, or a mysterious figure. She is a beacon of hope for those seeking a new understanding of the Force and a more balanced galaxy. In the chaotic aftermath of the Empire, Ahsoka's neutrality in the Force offers a solution to the polarized dichotomy that has plagued the galaxy for millennia. She embodies the idea that the Force is not a tool to be wielded by one ideology or another, but an energy that requires understanding, balance, and harmony to be used for good. Ahsoka's legacy is defined by her independence and her commitment to justice, which are rooted in her rejection of both the Jedi Order and the Sith's approach to the Force. Throughout the galaxy, Force-sensitive beings will look to her as a model of how one can live in balance with the Force while maintaining personal autonomy. The traditional Jedi philosophy, with its insistence on detachment from emotions, and the Sith's approach, which demands absolute control and domination, are both ultimately unsustainable for the long-term well-being of the galaxy. Ahsoka's understanding that the dark side and the light side are not mutually exclusive, but instead form two halves of a whole, offers a new way for Force-sensitive individuals to engage with their abilities. In the post-Empire galaxy, Ahsoka's influence will guide not just Force users, but also leaders and citizens who are seeking a new way to live and govern. With the New Republic struggling to solidify its rule and maintain order in the wake of the Empire's collapse, the lessons from Ahsoka's own life, particularly her experience of betrayal, self-discovery, and rejection of outdated institutions, will help prevent the New Republic from falling into the same authoritarian traps that led to the rise of the Empire in the first place. Ahsoka's moral clarity, her ability to reject extremes, and her understanding of the galaxy's complexities will continue to influence how future generations view their responsibility in a reconstructed galaxy. Ahsoka's relationship with other key characters will also evolve, playing an important role in the shaping of galactic events. Her influence on figures like Sabine Wren, Ezra Bridger, and Hera Syndulla has been pivotal in their own development, and as they rise to prominence in the new era, Ahsoka will serve as a source of guidance and strength for them. Ahsoka's willingness to mentor these young individuals, not by imposing her own beliefs or expectations upon them, but by encouraging them to forge their own path, will resonate through the galaxy's next generation of leaders. By encouraging them to question their assumptions and challenge the status quo, Ahsoka plays a critical role in shaping the future of the galaxy's leadership and the way in which Force users operate in the world. These relationships will provide a strong foundation for the New Republic as its leaders learn to navigate the delicate balance between power and responsibility, freedom and order. Ahsoka's impact will also extend to the way the galaxy views power and leadership. Throughout her journey, she has demonstrated that leadership is not about control or domination, but about empowering others to find their own way. This approach will be essential as the galaxy seeks to recover from the devastation of the Empire and establish new systems of governance. Ahsoka's own experience, her rejection of both Jedi and Sith ideology, teaches that true leadership comes not from imposing one's will upon others, but from working together to create a more just and balanced society. The New Republic will need to learn from Ahsoka's example, avoiding the mistakes of the past and embracing a new form of governance that is based on collaboration, mutual respect, and understanding. This will be a difficult journey, but Ahsoka's continued guidance will ensure that the galaxy's leaders are not led astray by the same greed and corruption that led to the rise of the Empire. Ahsoka's connection to the Force will also continue to evolve. While her initial departure from the Jedi Order was an act of defiance and personal growth, her time away from the rigid Jedi Code has allowed her to develop a much deeper, more personal relationship with the Force. This evolution of her Force connection will shape her philosophies and actions in the years to come as she continues to use her abilities not to fight for power, but to restore balance to the galaxy. Ahsoka's understanding of the Force as a living energy, one that is not to be manipulated or controlled, but to be understood and respected, will make her one of the most powerful and influential Force users of her time. She will become a beacon of hope for those who seek to use the Force, not for domination, but for healing and understanding. As Ahsoka continues her journey through the galaxy, her fate remains one of growth and self-discovery. She has rejected the limits of both the Jedi and Sith, and by doing so, she has created a path that transcends their respective ideologies. Her neutrality, her ability to embrace both light and dark sides of the Force, and her commitment to balance will shape the future of the galaxy in ways that no one can yet fully comprehend. Ahsoka's legacy will continue to grow, and as future generations look back on her life, they will see her as a symbol of hope, freedom, and the possibility of a better future, a future where balance is not just the goal, but the foundation upon which the galaxy is built.